Okay, so I'm starting here just in a simple child's pose, knees to the outside edges of my mat and gently letting my chest fall forward, taking deep inhales, and then with every exhale, reach my fingertips a little bit more forward. I always like to start with child's pose because it allows me to block everything out physically and mentally, begin to just let everything that's not here fall away. Then slowly reaching up, and then I just lift my hips up into a side stretch on one side and then switching to the other. And then coming into plank position and pushing back into a down dog, pedaling out my feet. And then lifting one leg, squaring it off to the side, and then doing some big hip circles. I'm doing it a bit fast here, but you can take it, here I'm slowing down, you can take it as slow as you need to. Be intentional with it. I'm bringing my foot as far back to the opposite side as I can, and one big inhale, step it forward, dropping that back knee down and rising up into a lunge. It's important here to keep your shoulders and your hips aligned and to tuck your pelvis underneath you. So the opposite motion of sticking your butt out, you want to keep it tucked underneath. So if it helps, you can put your hands on your hips and help guide it forward. Then I'm coming into runner's lunge, so moving my foot out to the edge of my mat, lifting my knee up, and again just doing some circle movements here. Again, take it as slow and take each position for as long as you need to. Make sure to switch whichever direction you started in. Pushing back into down dog and then just doing the same on the other side. Nice juicy rolls. Take it as slow as you need. I'm going a bit fast, but take your time. Big inhale, step it through. If you have knee problems, I would suggest just going straight into a runner's lunge. Again, take as much time as you need in every pose. Pushing back into a down dog and then just pedaling out again. Coming forward, deep inhale. Now I'm sinking back into a deep squat. My feet are on the outside edges of my mat, toes pointed out, and I'm using my elbows to push up against my inner knee. This will help to deepen the stretch. Now I'm coming into a crow pose, so keeping your elbows nice and tight at a 90-degree angle, pressing your knees on top of your inner arm. And you can do this slowly, lifting one foot and then the other. If it feels strong enough, you can try lifting both. Take your time, dance it out as you come up. Now I'm getting into tree pose, so you can bring your foot onto the inner thigh or up towards your hip bone like I'm doing here. Either way, you want to guide your, in this case, my right knee out towards the right side. So you're opening up your hips here. Bring your hands at your heart, or you can bring them above your head, whatever feels right. Whatever position your foot is in, press it in towards your thigh. This will help with your balance so you can really focus on opening up your hips. Now slowly guide your foot down. If it was in this position, then bring it up on top of your knee. And then you're going to sink back into standing figure 4. So keeping your knee at that 90-degree angle and sinking back onto your heels, keeping your foot flexed. And make sure your tailbone is back and underneath you. Gently rise up, and now I'm going to push back into an airplane pose just to stretch out that hip. Keep your chest nice and lifted. And release. Inhale, rise up, and go ahead and do it on the other side. Bringing your foot to whatever you did on the other side. Again, guiding your knee out as far out to the side as it can go. We don't want to hurt ourselves or overextend, so wherever you can feel the pull. And then again, pushing back into standing figure 4. So make sure you're really pushing back on your heels. It looks like my knee is a little bit more forward than I'd like to have it, but make sure your knee is definitely not going past your toes. And then again, coming into the airplane position. Now I'm just taking some hip circles. Close your eyes. Just feel into this motion here. Now I went through a down dog into a plank to make it onto my mat, and now I'm coming into a seated cow position. So bringing my right leg, crossing it over my left, and then bringing my left foot towards my hips. So try and stack your knees on top of one another and bring your feet as far back towards your hips as can be. And the full extension is to grab your hands behind you, but my shoulders were not as warm, so I just did a gentle shoulder stretch here. So do whatever feels good in your body. If you need to, use your hands to bring your feet closer to your hips. And gently switch to the other side, again making sure your knees are stacked on top of one another. Your tailbone and is aligned with your spine. Again, if it feels good, you can reach and grab your hands behind you or just do a gentle shoulder stretch here. Now I'm coming into butterfly. We all know how to do this one, keeping your feet firmly planted into one another, and I'm just letting my chest fall forward here. Taking slow and deep inhales. You can use your breath to help you get deeper into the stretch. Now coming into a bridge pose, so your feet are hip width distance. And you're going to push through your heels to lift your hip bones up. And I'm just doing some extensions here, so bringing my knees out towards like a 45-degree angle. Again, you want to make sure your tailbone and spine are aligned And then just gently release, knock your knees together. Take a breath here. And now I'm grabbing my right knee, pulling it in towards my armpit, and then slowly guiding it across my body, stacking your hips on top of one another and keeping your shoulders pressed on the ground. You can look the opposite direction. I did this a little quickly, but take your time in this pose. It's a really nice way to cool down your body. Stay here for as long as you need. And then now I'm coming into happy baby, so grabbing my feet. You can grab whatever is accessible, so if it's your ankles or your calves or even just your knees, but you're really just trying to bring your knees as close as towards your body as you can. Rock side to side, just massage your tailbone. And now I'm going to come into a heart opener, so coming up onto your knees, hip width distance, and then I'm grabbing onto my ankles. It's really important here, especially if you are not used to doing heart openers, to keep your hips and your knees aligned forward or stacked on top of one another. And if this feels good and you want to come back, then just gently come in between your knees on your elbows like I'm doing here. And if this feels good, then you can release and come all the way down onto your back, keeping a gentle curve in your lower back. Again, if you have knee problems, I would advise to skip this. It would be a bit of a strain on your knees. Now come up the way you came so you don't hurt your back. So come on your elbows and then straighten your arms. And slowly come up onto your knees and forward. I'm just doing some gentle side stretches, letting my ear fall towards my shoulder. And now just invite whatever stretches you feel like you need.